I did a poll in my community tab about which video you wanted to see for this week, and most of you voted for Betty Boop's friend. So in this video, we are going to do a speed draw of who I'm dubbing Melody May, a character I created that would be a friend to Betty Boop and live in the Betty Boop world and in her lore and everything. If you didn't know, I already did a video on it, but Betty Boop's history is complex and there's a lot of misinformation regarding her origins and what inspired her. Many people claim that she was a direct ripoff of Baby Esther, a young black jazz singer from the 1920s, but her story is way more complicated than that. I actually did a deep dive on Betty Boop and Baby Esther's history in a previous video, and I can put a card of that up here. I don't know if it's in the left or the right, it's somewhere in there. But I felt like there still should be a character that kind of stands alone and represents the amazing black female singers of the 1920s. And so I felt like making a friend for Betty that honors all of those women. I wanted to make a character that embodied elegance and class and it maybe like a little touch of sass and an insane vocal range. I wanted to imagine that Betty and Melody met in various clubs, and while Betty stayed in smaller clubs, Melody's sultry personality and incredible voice would continue to boost her through various high-end clubs, but Betty and Melody remained good friends and would get into hijinks together. Stylistically, I wanted her to kind of resemble Betty, but have different qualities. So like have a simplified short hairstyle, but hers kind of is soft and rounded as opposed to Betty's, which is pointed. And I wanted her to be also pretty curvy, as well as having big arched eyebrows, but kind of, instead of sad looking, they were kind of more sultry or like intense. Also, I had to give her her big eyelashes, just like how Betty has big eyelashes. And since a lot of y'all enjoyed the history of Betty while I drew, here's some info and history regarding black female jazz singers from the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance was a cultural explosion that reshaped American art, literature, and music. It was fueled by the great migration of Black Americans from the South and the Caribbean seeking a better life. Black Americans flocked to this vibrant neighborhood in Upper Manhattan, seeking solace and creative expression. It was here that seeds of jazz were sown and a new era of music began to flourish. But amidst the glittering lights and swinging jazz, a young star tried to grow. Esther Jones, known affectionately as Baby Esther, was a child entertainer who dazzled audiences with her unique scat-style vocal stylings and mannerisms. Betty Boop, the iconic flapper created by Fleischer Studios in the 1920s, became known for her iconic boop boop ba-doop boop. While Betty Boop embodied the spirit of the era, her origins sparked heated debate. Helen Kane, a popular white jazz performer, claimed that Betty Boop was a deliberate caricature of her own baby vamp persona, citing similarities in appearance and scat singing style. But Helen was actually inspired by black jazz singers of Harlem herself. A court case proceeded, and in the end, Kane lost the case and Betty Boop kept on boopin'. No one was actually able to pinpoint the origin of the Boops. But I do a much deeper dive on this whole court case in my other video. This is just kind of a quick synopsis if you hadn't seen the previous video. While Betty undoubtedly drew inspiration from the jazz age culture of that time, Betty Boop was not modeled after any single performer. Instead, she was a product of the collective creativity and innovation of that era. But that era was super influenced by amazing black artists at the time. So let's honor their work creativity and tenacity by talking about some of these well-known or lesser-known black female performers of that time. Let's start with Mother of the Blues herself, Gertrude Ma Rainey. Ma Rainey's powerful voice and commanding stage presence earned her the title of the Mother of the Blues. She began her music career as a teenager, performing in minstrel shows, and signed a contract with Paramount Records in 1932, where she would record more than 100 songs over a 5-year span. Then there was Bessie Smith, the Empress of the Blues. Smith started out as a street performer and signed with Columbia Phonograph Company in 1923. The singer-songwriter and composer released 160 recordings under Columbia, sold millions of records, performed on Broadway, and made her first and only silver screen appearance in the 1929 film St. Louis Blues. Another legend whose name is synonymous with jazz itself is Billie Holiday. With her beautiful voice and groundbreaking performances, Holiday pushed the boundaries of what it meant to be a jazz singer. Holiday began singing in Harlem nightclubs as a teenager and recorded her first song at age 18. She signed with Brunswick Records in 1935 and was hired and later fired in Count Basie's band in 1938. Holiday was hired by Artie Shaw, making her one of the first black singers to lead an all-white orchestra. Alongside Billie Holiday was Ella Fitzgerald, who was moving along a similar path. Naturally, Fitzgerald and Holiday were pitted as rivals, but the two actually became friends instead. After scoring a chance to perform with the band Harlem Opera House, Fitzgerald was signed by bandleader Chick Webb and was invited to join Webb's orchestra, with whom she recorded multiple hits. After Webb's death in 1939, the band was renamed to Ella and her famous orchestra. In 1942, Fitzgerald officially began a solo career that would span decades. And last but not least, and there are so many other artists, these are just some of the few, there's Mamie Smith, the trailblazer who became the first black artist to make a vocal blues recording and earned her biggest hit, which sold 1 million copies in under a year. Her success opened the door for other black female blues singers to be sought after by record labels. These remarkable women not only entertained audiences, but also challenged societal norms and broke down barriers. Their music was a celebration of black culture and resilience, and their voices echoed the spirit of the Harlem Renaissance. In my studies for this, I really wanted to incorporate a lot of these various aspects of the famous black female jazz singers of bygone eras into melody. So there was like aspects not only in appearance but just in vibes that I wanted to pull in and incorporate into her. I feel like since Betty Boop kind of has the color red, I wanted to give Melody the color purple because I feel like it's such a regal and kind of powerful color. It's like sultry and nice but also luxurious. I just imagined her in just like the best, nicest dresses with like fur coats and beautiful hats and just a bunch of really nice pieces of clothing. And she's just somebody who loves fashion and loves style, and her and Betty just go shopping all the time and they sing together. And I also kind of like the idea of her being a spy in the sense of Josephine Baker, because Josephine Baker was not only an amazing musician and singer and actress, but she also helped a ton with the civil rights movement, as well as a spy essentially for the French military agency and was for counterintelligence. And she would go to nightclubs and sing and then gather information secretly. And I think that's really cool. So I love that idea of her going out as like a musician, but then secretly gaining information on seedy people or bad people. But together, her and Betty jump on motorcycles and they ride around and they go and drink at speakeasies and they just overall have a really cool, fun time together. So that's about it for this. Let's move on to the glamour shots. And that's about it. What do you think of Melody May? Do you like her? Do you think that she should have any changes? What do you think of her character? I think this is fun to explore. I like her hair and I like her face a lot. I think she's really cute and I always have a soft spot for kind of like a sassy, pouty girl. So that's why I like Betty and that's why I also like this character. So let me know down below what you think, and don't forget that I have a sticker club that you can join every single month. I send out new stickers every single month, and the links for that is down below. I also have links to all of the research that I did. They will be down below as well. Yeah, let me know if you like this type of video, if the drawing with like information over it is fun for you, or yeah, just leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't, and that's about it. Okay, bye!